Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Chief Justice John Roberts' year-end report about the federal judiciary. That is normally a less than stirring document that goes over some of the work and thanks the judges and maybe makes a plea for more resources, and it is as buttoned down and bland as they come. And if you were to read this one, it certainly wouldn't strike you as incendiary, but in the very tempered, undramatic speak of a chief justice, this one actually sort of screams out in a few points. And what it screams out is, Donald Trump, don't bring the democratic system down. I mean, it is basically, I would say, that clear and forthright. Again, if you have your glossary of translating Supreme Court decorous speech to regular vernacular. So I'm just going to read a remarkable paragraph that I've never seen the likes of in a Supreme Court year-end report or almost anything else. Even I went over some confirmation proceedings yesterday for today's Substack, which is kind of of a piece and has to do with a brief that Trump filed earlier in the week that is way out of line. It might be worth a look. But let me just read this paragraph. Every administration suffers defeats in the court system, sometimes in cases with major ramifications for executive or legislative power or other consequential topics. Nevertheless, for the past several decades, the decisions of the courts, popular or not, have been followed. Within the past few years, however, elected officials from across the political spectrum have raised the specter of open disregard for federal court rulings. These dangerous suggestions, however sporadic, must be soundly rejected. These dangerous suggestions, however sporadic, must be soundly rejected. Now, I recognize this paragraph is something of a Rorschach test, which people from different sides of the aisle will read as they prefer, and people will point to Biden administration reactions to certain Supreme Court rulings and different maneuvers that were at least discussed. The student loan case, there was some effort to try to provide relief, notwithstanding the opinion or things discussed in the mifepristone case. Those, however, were all completely routine and of a piece with what the federal government would strategically do in the wake of a Supreme Court decision. The difference is the advent of Trump 2.0. They are well aware, and who couldn't be, who follows the law, that this is the guy ascending to the presidency who, more than anyone we can think of, Andrew Jackson, would raise the specter of saying, well, I'm just not going to follow it. Rules aren't for me. Laws aren't for me or for my administration. And of course, the irony is that the court has, I wouldn't say given birth to those views. He came to them and has lived his life that way, but has given a huge shot in the arm with its ruling that he cannot be prosecuted even for criminal actions, at least in the areas of his core judicial duties. I was thinking about pardons not long ago, and that I think the Supreme Court would say is a core power, and he can go out and offer up pardons for $1 million, and there's no criminal liability. But if things get really dicey in this administration, and they certainly could, he's really the president who could say, the Supreme Court, I'll do what I want. And that is, in and of itself, a giant step toward authoritarian rule. That's one of the 2 or 3 big things that a would-be authoritarian has to do, is capture the courts and bring them to heel. And when they say yes to him, obey. And when they say no to him, say thanks anyway. And put judges on the courts who will do those sorts of things. And the danger is unmistakable, and certainly the court has contributed to it. But leaving aside, it's not an issue right now of tracing the blame, but of the recognition by the Chief Justice that this is something out there, and his putting it in black and white that is really amazing, sort of mind-boggling. He is really saying something so basic. You must obey our decisions. That is something that really goes without saying, has gone without saying for 150 years more. And now, not only does it go without saying, but you say it, and it's not clear it has any meaning, right? This is all a guy like Chief Justice Roberts can do. He can't, go to the front of the Supreme Court and take a microphone and pound the podium, etc. This is him in a megaphone in his 1 time a year formal presentation that will get press coverage, etc. And he uses it, finds himself forced to use it to do what I think for Trump will just be, a little formal statement that he just won't care about. So in other words, this arguably is as big a roadblock as they get. Would Trump ever in a million years mow it down? You bet. I mean, and why not if it served his purposes? And where would we as a country then be? We would be in the very authoritarian regime that everyone has been so really concerned about, including a lot of very formerly loyal Republicans who just see a singular danger in this guy. So this is this kind of screams off the page given the normal decorous tone, and it's worth saying. There's another thing in there that is definitely said with Trump in mind. It's not unprecedented, nor is what it prompts unprecedented, but it's about attacks on judges and how forcefully people have to respond. That's Trump, and more Trump. Not only his lone wolf operators, but he himself is vicious in his insults toward judges who, in his mind, don't follow and do his bidding, up to and including even skirting on the edge with personal threats that have occasioned the need for security for federal judges. Something, again, 10 years ago, it would be kind of mind-boggling. But the big thing is this paragraph, and it strikes me on the one hand within the Supreme Court setting and the cloistered rooms of the court, a booming and very prominent statement. But within the rest of the world, including the crass offices of the transition for Trump and what's soon to be the Oval Office, something that, is a pin dropping. Both of those points are really, to me, telling about where we are now, that the Chief Justice has to say that, and that we think that for Donald Trump, it will register not at all. And really brings home a vivid and specific danger of the next 4 years. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.